Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today's video is about building a proper Pokemon VGC team. I know a lot of you guys have asked me about this recently, and since VGC 2014 rules were recently just announced, I decided that this would be a pretty good time to make a team and show you guys the whole team building process. Before I get started, I just want to say that your team is only half the key to victory in VGC. The other half is how well you play. The best players can manage to win with mediocre teams often, while average players also often struggle to win with copy teams from World's Caliber players. The most important thing, I think, is being comfortable with your team. You know the in and outs of it and practice a lot, you'll find that winning will come a lot easier. That all being said, let's take a look at the process of building a VGC team. Before we start, I want to show you two resources that are really great for building a team. The first one is the VGC 14 Pokemon Speed Tiers list on Nugget Bridge. What this list is basically, it's a list of all the Pokemon that are basically decent in the format. Their maximum speed stat, their nature, EV, boost, and base speed. For example, a Hydreigon reaches a speed stat of 225 when it's neutral nature or like modest nature, has max EVs, and has a +1 boost, mainly from Choice Scarf. And then speed is key in VGC because it's all about speed outspeeding your opponent, and this list is really helpful in just finding the exact number of EVs you need to kind of invest in one Pokemon to outspeed anything around it. So I would definitely refer to this because when you're making your EV spread, speed is the first thing you want to look at. The second resource I want to show you is VKun's Kalos Pokédex. As you know, VGC 2014 is Kalos Dex only, so you basically need to have a team of 6 from the Kalos Dex. And this online Pokédex basically has every Pokemon allowed, which is really convenient, and you can even sort it by base stats. To add on to that, you can even look at an individual Pokemon's profile page, and it will give you all the stats and information. So, for example, if I wanted to build the team around Aerodactyl, I can see its abilities, hidden ability, weaknesses and resistances, what it can breed with, obviously stats, and all the moves it gets. So, super convenient. And these two combined will just help you, get to know all the Pokemon really well and help you when you're trying to construct the team. So let's get to the actual team building. I already built it on Pokemon Showdown for convenience, but I'm just going to run through it right now. So we said that we wanted to build a team around Mega Scizor, and so you have the Scizor, Scizorite Technician, Bull Punch X Scissor, Sword Stance Protect, and an EV spread of 252, 252, 4 with Admin Nature. I didn't go for any complicated spread because I don't think Scizor really needs speed EVs in contrast to 2012 where it wanted to outspeed Politoed and Metagross. Both of those Pokemon, Hitmontop and Metagross are now banned, so Politoed is really the only thing Scizor wants to outrun, and I'm not sure if it's really worth investing 84 speed EVs for that, so I decided to not go with any, and I just went for the 252, 252, 4 spread. Don't be afraid to go with 252, 252 spreads, even though a lot of players recommend against it. I think it's a good starting point, especially when the metagame is undeveloped and we don't even know what we're supposed to be EVing Pokemon to survive. Now, some notable differences, this says X Scizor over Bug Bite since Bug Bite is banned now, but otherwise it's, fairly standard Scizor. You shouldn't be surprised by anything about it. Now, I want to cover Scizor's weaknesses in building the team, and the first weakness that jumps to mind is Fire-type attacks and Fire-type Pokemon. Three of the most common Fire-type Pokemon are Talonflame, Charizard, and Chandelure, so I want to find something that beats all three of those. And the first thing that came to my mind was Tyranitar, with this incredible typing, because it resists Fire-type attacks and can one-hit KO all three of those Pokemon that I just mentioned. For this Tyranitar, I went with the Dragon Dance, Crunch, Rock Slide, and Protect set, and you'll notice that I'm running Weakness Policy. Tropical Berry and Focus Sash were the common items on it in 2013, but now that fighting type attacks aren't nearly as common, I don't feel the need for it because Tyranitar can pretty much tank most attacks now. For the EV spread, I actually went with the Jolly Nature and 92 speed EVs, and the reasoning behind that is the whole idea behind this Tyranitar is to get a Dragon Dance up, and once you get the Dragon Dance up, with that speed, with the amount of speed I have invested, I've reached 153 speed, which is 1.5 times 102. If we look at the speed tier list, I actually specifically EV'd for that because 152 is the speed that Mega Kangaskhan, all Charizard, Salamence, Zapdos, and Staraptor and Mega Medicham reach. And I wanted to outspeed all of those by 1, and that's if they have a neutral nature, which is relatively common for those Pokemon. So I took out some from attack since I do have Weakness Policy and Dragon Dance, 2 ways to boost my attack and put them into speed. Otherwise, pretty self-explanatory. Now, Scizor and Tyranitar is a pretty solid core, but they have some pretty notable weaknesses as well. For example, they're both pretty weak to ground-type and water-type attacks since there are no resistances. So for my next Pokemon, I wanted something that could easily deal with those two attacks. I also wanted a Pokemon that was relatively fast, since Scizor and Tyranitar are both pretty slow. So I looked at the list, and the first thing that jumped to mind was actually Salamence. Salamence is really cool, but it wasn't used as much in 2012 and 13 because of, say, Latios, which could easily one-hit KO it. Dragon Gem is gone from the game now, so I actually put Choice Specs on it because I think Salamence is really, strong in the special attack side, and it has so many great attacks, so I wanted to take advantage of that. Draco Meteor, Fire Blast, and Hydro Pump are its main 3 sources of offense to really hit all ends of the, with incredible type synergy and coverage. And Dragon Pulse is the last one because I wanted just a solid means of offense, so it's 100% accurate since his other 3 moves aren't 100%. Timid Nature, obviously, and the EV spread is pretty self-explanatory. So at this point, we have 2 physical sweepers and 1 special sweeper. And I like that I put Salamence on because Scizor and Tyranitar are both obviously physical attackers, so they're susceptible to Will-O-Wisp and Burns in general and Intimidate. So now I think I have a pretty solid core. And for my next Pokemon, I wanted something like Salamence gave something to beat Pokemon that gave Salamence trouble. And so Ice types give Salamence obviously a lot of trouble, so I wanted something that could switch into Ice type attacks without issue, and the first thing that came into mind was Rotom-Wash. Rotom-Wash is really sweet, as you probably know, and it's already, I think it's one of, if not the best Pokemon in VGC 2014. And this set is really standard. It's something that I've been using for like forever. Citrus Berry, Hydro Pump, Thunderbolt, Will-O-Wisp, Light Screen. Diverse moveset. These two as its main means of offense. Will-O-Wisp to neuter physical sweepers and to get residual damage off, and Light Screen to get both ends of the spectrum and shut down special attackers. For the EV spread, I went max HP, 4 defense, 116 special attack and special defense, and 20 speed. My set in 2013 had 140 special defense, and I just took some out because Dragon Gem Draco Meteor from Latios does not exist anymore. So I put 20 in speed and 4 in defense. 4 in defense was so I didn't waste any extra, and Modest Nature to maximize, make sure ensure that I do as much damage while keeping my bulk as well. So now I think I have a pretty solid core because the 2 weaknesses that Tyranitar and Scizor that I thought, like ground and water, Salamence and Rotom do a pretty good job of beating those, and Salamence is a pretty fast Pokemon. However, I don't have that much speed on my side at this point, so for my 5th Pokemon, I wanted something that could have a lot of speed and really just outspeed anything, because I think, like I mentioned before, speed is crucial to VGC. So I went with Talonflame, which is, I think, probably the best Kalos-mon. Talonflame is really great because of its ability Gale Wings, and because its base speed is just so naturally high at 126. I went with Jolly Nature, but I actually put no EVs into speed because even without any EVs, it reaches 160, which pretty much outspeeds everything you want it to. Everything that outspeeds Talonflame otherwise, normally, you're probably going to Brave Bird anyway, and with Gale Wings, you're going to go first, so it's not a big deal. So instead of 252 in speed, I put that into HP, put 252 in attack, 4 in special defense, Gale Wings, Flare Blitz, U-turn, Brave Bird, Protect. Pretty self-explanatory as well. So now I have a pretty good, I think, split between physical and special, and speed and, non-speedy. But if you take a look, most of my Pokemon are, relatively offensive. There's some bulk invested in, most of them. For example, Tyranitar, Scizor, and Rotom, and Talonflame actually all carry HP EVs. But at the same time, I wanted something that was really, really bulky and could win games solely off its bulk. And so I looked at the list again, and the first thing that jumped out this time was Ferrothorn. Ferrothorn is also really awesome. Obviously, it suffers a fire weakness like Scizor does, but the cool thing is Tyranitar, Salamence, Rotom, and Talonflame all resist fire, so it's not a big deal. I went with Leftovers, Iron Barbs, Leech Seed, Power Whip, Gyro Bar, Protect, and a 252-252 Force Spread with Relaxed Nature. I went with full defensive bulk on this one because Rotom, as you see, invests in special defense bulk. So I wanted Ferrothorn to hit the physical side of the spectrum, especially since it moves like Power Up Punch from Kangaskhan can be really annoying, and Kangaskhan's one of the more common Mega Pokemon, so I kind of wanted Ferrothorn to have a better chance against it. At this point, we have the 6 Pokemon for the team, and I'm just going to slightly describe to you why I like, the synergy behind it, because I do think this is a pretty solid core to work with. You have all different kinds of typings in all 6 of these Pokemon, and if you look at the moves, all the moves, don't really share the same type, and they kind of cover all ends of the spectrum. You have Steel and Bullet Punch, Bug and X Scissor, Dark and Crunch, Rock and Rock Slide, Dragon in these 2, Fire and Fire Blast, Water and Hydro Pump, Water again and Hydro Pump here, Electric and Thunderbolt, Fire, Bug, Flying, and then Steel and Grass for Ferrothorn. So it covers all ends of the physical spectrum. or yeah, just the attacking spectrum. You've got good bulky Pokemon in Ferrothorn and Rotom, but you have offensive sweepers like Salamence and Talonflame as well, which rely on clearly offensive items like Life Orb and Choice Specs. And setup moves are also two of my favorite things. Bullet Punch, Sword Dance in Scizor, and Dragon Dance in Tyranitar make it so that it can really win you games if your opponent doesn't play properly. Not only that, but Scizor has Bullet Punch and Talonflame as Flare Blitz, and I think Priority is also really great because against teams like Trick Room, you can play a bit easier knowing that you don't have to protect every turn to win the game. Fundamentally, it doesn't really rely on moves that have low accuracy other than Will-O-Wisp and Hydro Pump. Another thing that I like in teams, not relying on really low accurate moves, and the typing is really nice. 3 of the Pokemon are resistant or immune to ground type attacks, which is also really important since Earthquake is a really good move. Obviously, this team is not perfect, but it's a pretty good starting point, and I did only come up with it in a couple of minutes of theory mining and stuff. But that was my walkthrough through building a team in Pokemon VGC 2014. For my next few videos, I'm actually going to focus on improving on a team, since this is just a starting point, and I'm going to bring you guys some battle videos and analysis on how to make a team even better, because while no team can be perfect in VGC, you can, fix the nuts and bolts of it and really make it as good as it can be. And if you have a strong core to work with, which I think, these 6 Pokemon do work out really nicely together, then you can definitely, optimize your chances of winning. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys.